my new video will look at another miracle performed by Jesus according to the Gospel, entitled Jesus Heals 10 Lepers. The account is found in Luke 17. In verses 11 to 19, we see 10 men who had infectious skin diseases, commonly translated as leprosy. In the Old Testament, it was written that when a person discovered a rash or skin disorder, he or she had to go to the Jewish priest for examination. The priest then determined whether this was a contagious disease and whether the person was to be declared ceremonial unclean. Jewish law did not allow anyone with such a disease from associating with the general population. They normally were isolated and many times lived out their lives as outcasts until they died. This was required in order to keep infectious diseases from becoming an epidemic. Jesus had actually healed several people who had leprosy or other infectious diseases. In Luke 17, 10 men who were living in a leprosy colony approached Jesus together. They had to remain at a distance as per law. Luke 17:13 notes, they called out to him and said, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." Actually, the men did not understand that Jesus was the Lord of all creation. To them, he was simply a healer. The lepers had heard that Jesus healed all types of diseases. Without seeming to do really anything, Jesus merely gave the instruction to go show themselves to the priest. At the exact moment of Jesus' instruction, the men were still lepers. No physical change had yet taken place. In faith, the men obeyed. As they made their journey to the priest, they were healed. Jesus always required faith on the part of people asking for healing. Many times he asked those wanting to be healed, "Do you believe that I can do this?" Jesus required a demonstration of faith on behalf of the lepers in asking them to walk away, even before he had healed them. The Bible does not indicate how far the 10 have walked before they were healed. However, only one man returned to thank Jesus for the healing. Luke 17:15 notes that the man was a Samaritan, a person despised by the Jews. Jesus expressed disappointment that the other 9 men had not thought to give praise to God for their healing. Jesus, though, did not withhold healing from the 9 that did not thank him. Because they all had faith, all 10 were physically healed. But Jesus' final words to the grateful Samaritan implies that the man received spiritual healing in addition to the cleansing of his skin. In Luke 17:19, Jesus commands the man to rise and go. "Your faith has made you well." It could be that the healed man's return to fall at Jesus' feet gave him spiritual wholeness in addition to the physical wholeness he had received. A lesson to be learned when we take time to acknowledge the giver and not just the gifts. We please the Lord as well as enjoy the spiritual healing that comes from gratefulness. A couple of final takes from this miracle of Jesus. Leprosy was like sin. Once a person had leprosy, the individual could not be healed and was a leper the rest of their life. Lepers were unclean. In the 1st century AD, leprosy was a perfect picture of sin. We are called sinners because we sin. Just as lepers could not heal themselves, so we cannot remove our sin. Just as lepers will die of their leprosy, so we are born spiritually dead because of our sin. Only God can help us in our sinful condition. Sin is inherited from our parents, and they inherited it from their parents. Leprosy symbolizes sin from which there is no cure. Everyone at birth is spiritually unclean. Only God can solve our problem. Jesus told the lepers to go let the priest examine them. We only surmise how surprised the priests were when they examined these men and discovered that they were no longer lepers. While we're not told anything specific as to what happened to the bodies of these men, one can surmise that any leprous parts of their bodies were restored. Fingers, nose, ears, toes, hands, and face, for example. The men had gone to the priest completely restored and well. In Acts 6-7, we understand that many of the priests became Christians. We can only wonder if the priests who examined the lepers were among those who believed. Another amazing miracle from Jesus. Truly, he was the Son of God. This is H.A. Graves.